Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Power Half Hour Unstoppable Business Owner. And I'm your host, Dorothy Odell. I just really have to say, for those of you that are football fans out there and saw Monday night's game, that, what a shock that was with DeMar collapsing out on the field. So we just want to, pray for him and his family and the teammates of both the Bills and the Bengals, because but clearly both teams were devastated. So just want to give our prayers to the family and to the football family. And I know that one of our guests is having a little bit of technical issues. I know Bree, she just before we went to go live, she lost power. So, but we do have her amazing business partner, Trevor, in the house. So welcome, Trevor.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. That's a great start.
That is a great start.
Thanks for having us. I'll pretend that I'm Bree and I will give the snarkiest answers. I'm just kidding.
Well, what attracted me to Bree in the first place was her branding and the clever biatch. I'm like, seriously. And there's not too many people. Oh, she did get in the house. There we go.
I'm in the dark more because I don't have good lighting now because I had to. Oh my God, I feel like I'm like in candlelight here. So terrible.
It's okay.
Live from Minnesota at ground zero of the worst weather in the entire world, we have Bree Campano on scene. What's it like
so
where
bad.
you are?
It is so bad. Oh my gosh.
I was just telling our viewing audience, what attracted me was your branding, like the clever biatch. Because Trevor said that he would be as sarcastic as you are, since you weren't there at the very beginning, but I'm sure both of you will do an amazing job.
Thanks. Welcome to Alive. This is what happens. We're kind of used to this crazy. We're used to the crazy, and I apologize if my sound is off. I had to swap to my phone just so that I could be on here, and I had to set up a thing. So I'm freezing. I'm in Minnesota. It's very cold. And I have no power. So I'm like, I feel very candlelit. It's just awesome.
This is what an unstoppable business owner does. She will stop at nothing to get her name out there. Right. So with that, we will start with Bree then. Bree, tell our audience a little bit about yourself and your background and your business here.
Oh, okay. So
drum roll.
Thank you. My background. Wow. I went to school to be a teacher and I taught for 20 years. And I wrote a lot of curriculum and things like that. Nothing that entrepreneurial at first, but I think I always had that in me. And I did start a soap and body business. Like I was doing lotions and soaps and all kinds of things. And I was very dependent on live events. So going to craft shows, going to art festivals to sell my products. I did that way better than I did anything online. And when COVID hit and I was just coming into a rebranding and all new things that I put so much time and effort into, I lost. That didn't happen. Everything shut down. I had to figure out what I was going to do and pivot, as they say. So I got into doing things online and events online because that's where people went for things during the pandemic. And I had to take like a crash course in how to do things on social media, like learning Facebook and learning Instagram. And I always had them, but I just never did things with them more than just comment and hang out with my friends. So it was really difficult. I had to learn graphics. I had to learn how to write copy. I had to learn algorithms, and I had to learn to network and connect with people in a completely different way than what I was used to doing for so many years. And so I did that, and I got into direct sales, and I was like, oh, this is so much fun. I'm going to do all these things. And I sucked so bad. I was so bad at it. It was like, oh. And
oh my gosh,
what do you do, right? You just try things. You're like, why not? I'll try it. And what I didn't know at that time was it was preparing me for what I do now. So all of that 2 years that I spent 18 hours a day struggling and beating myself up, really, because I think that we do that a lot. We're our own worst enemy. And so I did spend a lot of time like, why am I such a failure? Why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? And then it finally dawned on me that I just don't do sales. Like, it's okay that I'm not a salesperson. And I pivoted, I shifted. I had gotten really sick from COVID. I had ended up with a bad heart condition, and making soap became a very big struggle for me. So I'm not able to do it at the level that I was doing it before. So even though things went kind of back to normal with craft shows and things happening, physically I was unable to like do the things I needed to do to have that business continue. I still do it in a very, very small scale, only for private label businesses that I've kept. But I had a pivot, and I found podcasting, and I decided I want to do that. Took courses, got into it, started realizing that all those skills that I had, all those things I sucked at back in the day, were actually really amazing skills for me to help others with social media. I knew things that they didn't know, and I was like, I thought everybody knew this, but they don't. And so I realized that like that was where I'm happiest, is when I'm helping others do things and teaching. There's that teaching degree coming back in. I'm great as a teacher. I'm great as a coach. And so I'm able to take all of the lifetime of skills that I've learned and the crash courses I took over the last few years, to really position myself now to help creators of all kinds really excel, grow, form that community, which is so vitally important. And we've all learned, I think, that in that time of COVID, that we could make connections and build community. Even if it was online, it still felt close and connected. And so that's where I am now. And so that's kind of my little life journey in a nutshell.
I love that. Thank you. And Trevor, tell our audience a little bit about you. Now, you're not in the cold, though.
No, we should have done flipsies. Bree, next time we're going to do flipsies. I'll introduce you and you introduce me.
Okay.
I feel like that would be fun. We spend a lot of time together on live. So it would be, we finish each other's
sentences.
Come on, Bree. I really tossed you like the softest ball I could find.
I said it.
It's the delay. It's so cold there. I live in San Diego, and I've lived out here for like four and a half years now. It sounds like my cat must have ate some of my plants in my garden, which is so cool, because that means now I have a more dead plant and something to clean up. Awesome. What did you eat, man? I live in San Diego. I lived out here for a few years. I worked as a director of operations until last November. I worked at a pediatric therapy clinic where I joined when it was a startup. Did a little bit of everything, HR, hiring, like not as much firing. We didn't really do much of that, but we grew a lot. It was a really cool experience. It was not like a standard startup tech company type of story, but it was a really stereotypical startup sort of storybook. And then the company outgrew having one person do all those things, so we split them up in a few different ways. And since then I started a consulting company, so Common Leaders, and I do organizational and leadership development primarily, but development more broadly is what I focus on. And I have experience like doing leadership consulting, but also I have a master's degree in creativity, true story. So I like to talk about the science that is creativity. And now, as Bree said, like we spend a lot of time in the media world. In addition to my leadership and org development sort of passions, I wanted to find a place to distribute communication skills to people, which is leadership skills. Like mostly what you learn in leadership skill classes is communication technique. It's the vast majority of it. So I wanted to find a way to, or try to contribute to the business world and maybe my business in a way that could distribute more of that knowledge that I got exposed to because I had a master's degree, I think, that a lot of people would benefit from. So that's why Common Leaders is what it is name-wise. And then Pneumospect was really created in order to help distribute that message I didn't see it going the way it has, but we have a lot of fun and we do a lot of experimenting in spaces like this. Just trying to create content and not have it be like such a burden.
I love that. And being authentic is I was talking about with my coach today, being more real and authentic instead of just canned when we do our social media stuff. So I love that. Second Chance says, hey everybody, building a community is very important. So I totally agree, and that's part of why we do that's why I started my show, because of the community and the networks that I was building. A lot of people have their stories that need to be heard. So I love it. So now tell us about the business. I know you guys have got a couple together. So at least one together and a couple on the side. So how do you help your clients then? We'll start with Bree.
She's a boss.
Well,
she's the boss.
New Aspect is really all about our creators. And so what my goal is on my part of things is I try to help them develop their brand identity, their social media. I work with them. I do work on one-on-one with clients with some of our creators, helping them come out with a strategy for posting, because a lot of times people don't know where to post, when to post, how much to post, what they should be writing about, all of those things. And then it's the whole graphics thing. So I help create graphics for them. I help them get templates and get things organized. And then we connect with them in our creator lab, which I think is one of my very favorite places to be. We had a creator lab meeting this morning. We do meet twice a week, and then I have office hours on Saturday. So our creators can come in, they learn something, new tools to use, ask questions, collaborate and network with each other. We do kind of what I've always called hot seat coaching, where they'll bring an issue and then we kind of go around the room and everyone helps develop their ideas and help work through their problems. And it's one of those things that when you are an entrepreneur, especially a podcaster, it seems like, but any kind of entrepreneur, you tend to wear all the hats and you do things by yourself. And so when we're building this community, what it does is it supports them. And so they're not alone, right? Because it is hard. I'm going to wear every hat today because I have to figure out all of these things, from editing to, what I'm going to talk about, to finding guests, to connections, to growing my audience, to, trying to monetize. There's just so many things. And it's really hard alone. And I knew how much I struggled by myself, and I didn't want others to feel that way. So when they come into our creator lab, they get embraced and they get support and they get a community that stands behind them to help them grow and learn and build out what their dreams are. So
I love that. I absolutely love that. Trevor, did you want to add anything to that?
I'll add a little bit. So Bree is really strong in the brand. Sorry, I wore extra hats to make a point, and then I don't need to do that. I have my favorite brand. If I could pick one of because I have multiple brand ideas running, and so that's why I sort of wanted to do this, so I could have more brands under my brand and not have it be about me as much as possible. But one of those is my garden sort of brand. I like to hang out in the garden and I put on my little hat and call myself the surrogate gardener. So I'm a creator in terms of I actually want that business. If I were to become an influencer in one industry, it would absolutely be agriculture and gardening. But
awesome.
I wanted to find a place, like I said, to sort of flex some of those passions. And this seemed like a good route. So we want to give creators a place to not only to develop their brand, like Bree is saying, because development is so, so important. We talk that word a lot because there's a lot of positive mindset coaches in the world post-COVID. And there's nothing wrong with positive mindset, but it's now what are we going to do with it? Let's keep moving. Now that we feel good about ourselves, what's the strategy? So we focus a lot on that development piece and trying to keep people pushed to the edges. So we try a lot of experimental things, and we also want to provide a place on our streaming app for our creators to sort of rent a space and also get development with us. So come into our development, our creator lab, and be part of that community. And also you can attend, in fact, we're going to ask you to attend one a week of our creator labs so that we're constantly pushing creators, not just to network, but to also develop those skills while they're networking. So we have a whole series of creator lab episodes each week that focus on different topics that might be important to creators, so that to really still, now that Bree is giving people a good foundation to start from a branding standpoint, now let's do some exclusive stuff. Let's talk about how you're going to monetize. Let's talk about how you can put up like a very low paywall to get started in order to get your people used to the concept and get you a little revenue. Your people should want to support you, and they probably do. Let's find a way to build that out a little bit and make it exciting and call it experimental content. And you can continue doing whatever you want on YouTube and everywhere else.
Right. And if nothing, I'm sure it would be absolutely hilarious to work with both of you.
Well, this is how we do.
I appreciate the compliment.
Be running or something and like, they're coming to get me. Watch out. That's what it feels like right now.
Literally. I have to ask, so because here in Canada, where I'm from, the agriculture is like, that's one of the main things that is here. And I actually work for a greenhouse facility during my day job. So what actually grows out in California besides palm trees?
Oh, well, that's funny you should ask if you want. So Bree knows you just opened up an entire nursery worth of conversation here, pun intended. I grew up on a production farm in upstate New York, produce. So like strawberries and pumpkins and potatoes. We did a little bit of everything when I was a kid. And then I moved out here, in 2,800 miles, and 15 years later, I had a space plus pandemic to motivate me to grow some things. And so now I have roughly 40 different varieties of vegetables and flowers and a couple of fruits in my garden. Like, I'd show you, but I don't want to make people nauseous with the camera, but I have some. That's where I spent a lot of my content experiment time, because I love the garden so much that it helped me get over my uncomfortability with being on camera. So like, if I could get paid to do one thing on camera, it's got to be in the garden. So let's start there. So I grow a little bit of everything, but naturally, not a whole lot. Agave grows out here. Palm trees, I've heard, aren't actually native. True story. And other than that, it's like a lot of low scrub brush that grows naturally here. Not much.
Awesome. Wow.
What kind of greenhouse y'all work at? Like, what do you have? Do you have wheat? Please tell me you have wheat and corn in your greenhouse. I'm still waiting for that.
Oh, no. And I don't know. Well, there could be. To my knowledge, there is no greenhouse that does that, but we're hydroponic. So it's mostly mostly tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers.
Yeah.
We do have we did at one point have another farm that we got outsourced from the eggplant. And at one time when I first started 5 years ago, we did have lettuce, but that lettuce has kind of disappeared. That was another farm that we had, but we don't. It was living lettuce, so the life expectancy of that is not great. So it's not a great shelf life. So
you gotta be huge, really, right? Like to be a successful lettuce operation in 2023. This is such a weird conversation, but you have to have like super dedicated to that cause, because it's a scaling, right? My understanding is that lettuce in a greenhouse is a scaling thing. Like, you got to have a big operation to pull that off.
Yeah. That, like I said, that was one of we used different growers, and that was one of that was one of our vendors. So we personally didn't grow it. That was somebody else. So to tell you the truth, I've been there for 5 years, and I have yet to be able to go into the greenhouse and see the operations. I'm stuck in the office. So yeah.
I wouldn't work there. You couldn't convince me to work. Literally the only reason I could ever work for a greenhouse, people, and I probably wouldn't, is if I could be in the greenhouse all the time. Like, that's my dream office building, is essentially a greenhouse, like a 5-acre honeycomb greenhouse.
Wow.
Sorry,
I
off
guess
topic.
this was meant to be to have this conversation. That didn't come
Absolutely.
out. That didn't come out the first time. I don't know. I thought we talked about veterans or something like that the first time, but who knows? I don't. I have all these amazing conversations, and then I kind of forget some of what we talked about.
We did talk about veterans because I live in San Diego, so I'm surrounded by veterans primarily. And Bree's father-in-law, who's going through some stuff right now, is a veteran as well. So we do talk about the veteran community pretty frequently, partly because they become a lot of my friends out here, like close friends.
Right.
So I had a different appreciation. So I've jumped sort of headfirst into that. And they're also a group of people who understand leadership at a really different level than the average person, certainly different than me too.
Yeah.
They have the training and the experience where a lot of people who haven't have served necessarily will get one of the other. They'll get hard experience but not much training, or they'll get lots of training and not necessarily like the on the ground chaos type experience. And I think
Right.
our service members in most countries would understand both leadership and taking action, as well as anyone you could possibly want to be your coach or consultant. So I'm really big on supporting people like that in the community for sure.
Well, that's awesome. You should join our team over at Camaraderie Rescue Mission. We always need more people.
Tell me, what is it?
Okay, so I'm a co-chair for Camaraderie Rescue Mission, which is a veteran organization out in Lakeland, Florida. Nice sunny weather, and so we help veterans. We have different programs, ghost ship experiences. We just finished one December 9th with horses. We had Eric Anderson, who is the gunslinger. He has a farm out there, and so we had veterans out there riding horses, and it was a barbecue and bonfire and things like that. So we help veterans anywhere from just community coffee and connection to taking them on these different programs and just really saturating them in nature and just really letting them get back to the basics. When I started working with them last January, it was January 31st, we had Greg Bicknell on the show, who is the founder of Camaraderie Rescue Mission. And since then, my life has been inundated, and full of love from all our veterans. So yeah, we are always looking for new people to help. Not from anywhere from fundraising to, just even being a support in the programs. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to certainly lend like my support to that in a one-on-one way, and I'd love to get some more information. And certainly, like with the mechanisms that we are trying to build or have built, we also have space for things like dedicated channels to like a veterans network and things like that. So it would be content that would be specifically catered for or to families. Because I know like to cater to a veteran without including their family is a huge disservice probably to the whole system. So I think it would be really cool to, in addition to provide like just throwing down with people to talk to them and listen, also providing some I guess community, but within the creator world, because I think I've met a fair number of veterans through like LinkedIn and other online sources who are coming out of the service with such great experience. Like I said before, like my buddy is one of those people, comes out with the greatest experience, and then they don't really know how to apply it in society because they don't feel like they've got the badge of approval in the same way they got it in the military to be qualified, and they feel all out of sorts. And it's so frequent that I think to myself, if we put you on a stage, people would love you. You could help people. You could mentor people. You could do what you naturally love to do. We just need to find the right systems and mechanisms and resources to hook you up with. Because I think there's a lot of people like that who could do it as a part-time gig and get so much validation out of it and make a little money.
Absolutely.
I have big love for vets.
And when they leave the service, they're not really prepared for civilian life. And that's where we step in, because when we first started working with them, 22 veterans a day were dying by suicide. Now we're up to 44. If you take in the general population, there's 132 people that die by suicide per day. So that was my huge thing on working with them.
Per day?
Sorry. Per day. per day.
Is that in the U.S. or North America? Like, what's the?
That's a U.S. stat, but I'm sure that it's.
Yeah, I was just curious because I'm you being in Canada, but also working with the U.S. That's.
Yeah. You're funny. It's not. You're not the first person to like. Why are you doing that? Well, because they're the only ones that would take me. I'm crazy, and no one wanted me on their team here in Canada. So, in all honesty, we are in the process of finding ways to bring it to Canada as well, so that we can service Canada and the United States. Because I made that attention on our weekly board meeting last night, where it's like, well, if you want Canadians to donate and get involved, you got to be in Canada too, because that's the mentality of not me, obviously, because I help the world, but that's the mentality. And just like usually in the US, it's like, oh, got to get US made, right? Or help people in the US. And I was doing a 24-hour fundraiser, and I live here in Windsor, Ontario. This is where I'm based, and the news radio station would not pick me up and even promote it because it was for a U.S. company. So,
yay for the monarchy!
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I'm just playing. I don't know a ton about Canadian stuff like that. I do know that they protect people pretty well, and so sometimes the barriers to us feel like from the South looking up do feel like there are more barriers, and then there are times that we look at our own barriers or boundaries and are like, oh yeah, maybe Canada's doing something right up there, but that is kind of weird.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah, well, I always figured nothing was going to stop me because it's all about helping people, and that's what it was all about, and that's what it turned out to be a great event, anyways. And it was, yeah. I always say, laugh and give things something to talk about. That's really, just like Bonnie Raitt, right?
Bree,
Love
do you
that
have
song.
any jokes for us?
Do I have any jokes?
Yeah, I feel like you probably have dad jokes. Do you have any dad jokes?
Oh gosh, I don't have any good jokes, especially in the dark.
I love putting her on the spot when she's not paying attention. Actually,
I am paying attention. You think I'm not paying? I am paying attention.
I saw your eyes rolling back in your head. You're like freezing.
I keep getting.
There.
So I have flashing lights outside, so it keeps catching me. Like there's big trucks working outside on the power lines, so it keeps
like
catching
that. It's right out front.
Oh yeah, the line's down in my front yard again. They just replaced it during the last storm. So yeah, it's right here.
Oh my gosh.
There's two of them out there, and they've got flashing lights, and they're talking. So I'm also worried because I'm not on my microphone because I didn't like literally was trying to just get on as fast as I could, and so I didn't get a microphone set up. And I'm wondering what it's picking up because they're literally like 25 feet out my window here. So,
Can't hear it. Can't hear it
good.
You're good.
Yelling.
You're good. So, where can people find you guys then? Where is the best place that somebody wants to? That Creator Lab sounds absolutely amazing. Not only do you get that, I love your handle, the social media maven. I absolutely love that.
Oh, thank you.
Like seriously, love it. So, where is the best place that you would love for them to contact you guys?
I think Pneumospec.
Oh, go ahead, Bree. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say pneumospec.com really gets to everything that we do. That's the fastest and easiest way to find us, but we're also on all the socials. I am always at the Clever Biatch, which some people call biotech, but I am, that's the easiest place to find me on like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of them. I'm consistently across all of them at the same handle, so you can reach out to me. But yeah, just go to pneumospec.com and get more information from us and join our Creator Lab. We'd love to have everybody. I think it's better with more people. One of my favorite words, and I say this all the time, is synergy. Is just that we are greater than our sum when we work together. So, and I think that's what this community does for each other.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Thank you both for coming on. Thank you to our guests for joining us. And any last words? I can't believe the half hour's up already. Any last words for our guest or anything that you want to put out there?
Go ahead, Trevor.
I'll just say thank you really fast. Like, thank you to you and to your guests, like, who have been before us to build a foundation. What episode number is this for you?
51 on this
51.
one.
Woo!
Congrats.
And 92 on the Monday Night Show. 92.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I feel like that's a lot of hard work to like get, and then we come on your show just like randomly at 92 or whatever, and we're a pass through, and we get to have this really cool moment while it's recorded, which is my favorite part. Is if we accidentally say something brilliant for someone, maybe it can work for someone else too, you know.
Exactly.
So I really appreciate you creating this space and inviting us on and having the pre-conversation with us. It's been fun to get to know a little bit about you and what you're into, but also like I'm really stoked to have our like my people reach out to your people, and by that I mean like the people who listen to your show and our shows. And the Creator Lab is really meant to, like Bree said, be a place where people can experiment and try stuff that maybe they wouldn't be comfortable with normally, because we talk about mistakes a lot. So it's just an honor to get to come on and meet new people and potentially be able to help a new crowd. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so very much. This has been so much fun, even in the dark. So they'll let me out. They'll let me out soon, I hope. I don't know.
And especially with your phone, because it's like so narrow. When you said that looks like kind of cool. Absolutely love it. Well, again, thank you so much. And thanks to our guests. Remember, stay unstoppable in all that you do. And we'll see you same time, same channel next week. Bye for now.